I'm really here to talk about being a survivor of low vision. Look, the first thing is people are very surprised when they find out that I'm vision impaired. So the first thing they're going to say, they're going to try to talk to me. And if you're my peripheral, I'm really not paying attention to you. You have to be dead in front of me because it's off. So I'm going to do a little, little thing to show y'all exactly what I see on an everyday basis. So it's an exercise. And so if you put one hand on your right hand over one eye, and then you take your left and put it on half of this eye, that is my vision. And so the grace on it is I still can legally drive in the state of Georgia, but in that aspect, that is all that I can see. So if you're on the side of me, I'm going to have to turn all the way to you so I can see you. And so I'll tell people, let me hear your voice so I'll know it's you. So when someone comes up, when you said hearing loss, I was like, you would think, because they're going to elevate their voice. So I'll be able to identify who you are. It's a journey, but the funniest thing to me would be people trying to say, well, I spoke to you the other day and you didn't say anything to me because I didn't see you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Speaking with Gravity. I'm your host, Joshua Williams.
Hey, everybody. My name is Hannah Williams.
And I'm Terrence Dawkins.
And we have a very distinguished guest with us today, but we'll let her introduce herself, please.
Yes, my name is Dr. Ebony Michelle Collins. Nice to meet everyone. I am from Augusta, Georgia, so I am totally elated to be here with y'all to discuss disabilities and how mental health has definitely took a toll on that community. And so I am totally ready.
She done took my job, y'all. She done told the topic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Is she ready?
Yeah.
Most definitely. So like she mentioned, how disability impacts mental health. Greatly appreciate you all joining us today. This is episode 94. This is our 10th season, y'all. We getting closer and closer to that 100th episode. I think we do have something in the works for you all, so we're definitely looking forward to that. But as you heard, we do have Dr. Ebony Collins with us today, and we appreciate her for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes.
Anything you think we should know?
Yes, well, I'm from small beginnings. Like I said, I'm from Augusta, Georgia, and I started out at Payne College, and then I ended up transferring to Fort Hays State University, where I got my sociology degree, as well as certified in grant writing. And I definitely, at that point, I really didn't know what I was going to do with it. And God just allowed that to flourish and grow into the spaces that I am now. I am also I received a doctorate, an honorary doctorate from the School of the Great Commission, as well as a PhD from North Central Theological Seminary. And so with that being said, that is in Christian counseling. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about today.
Okay.
I'm really here to talk about being a survivor of low vision.
Okay.
And so less of me, more of him. And so I'm being obedient when it comes to that.
Amen. Yeah.
All right. And so I know I'm ready for the first question.
Oh, man.
We're
I thought you
excited.
was about to go in. I was
Oh,
going to
no.
do it. Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm
She
ready.
ain't playing with you.
I'm ready.
Well, actually, I'm going to throw it on Brother Terrence.
Yeah, throw it on me. I got it.
He's funny over there.
Because the people want to know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or Dr. Collins want to know. Yes. Okay, I got it. What's the most absurd or funny misunderstanding you've had related of your you've heard related to hearing issues?
Our vision.
Vision.
It's going to be low vision. So
All right, we go that way.
Look, the first thing is people are very surprised when they find out that I'm vision impaired. So the first thing they're going to say, they're going to try to talk to me. And if you're my peripheral, I'm really not paying attention to you. You have to be dead in front of me because it's off. So I'm going to do a little, little thing to show y'all exactly what I see on an everyday basis. So it's an exercise. And so if you put one hand on your right hand over one eye.
Over the eye?
Yes. And then you take your left and put it on half of this eye. That is my vision. And so the grace on it is I still can legally drive in the state of Georgia. But in that aspect, that is all that I can see. So if you're on the side of me, I'm going to have to turn all the way to you so I can see you. Okay. But if you're in my peripheral, I can see something, but I can't see your full face.
Okay.
And so I'll tell people, let me hear your voice so I'll know it's you. So when someone comes up, when you said hearing loss, I was like, you would think because they're going to elevate their voice. So I'll be able to identify who you are. And so it's been a journey. It's a journey. But the funniest thing to me would be people trying to say, well, I spoke to you the other day and you didn't say anything to me because I didn't see you.
Literally.
That's right. I did not see you. So with that being said, that is one of the funniest things. And it's been a journey because I have not always been like this my entire life. And so it was an adjustment for me as well as people around me, even for my family. They're like, I know you see me. No, I don't. I don't see you. So yes.
And I want to ask, when did this challenge, thank you for sharing that with us and with our audience, because I know that may not be, or may in the past not have been easy to share, especially publicly. However, when did this challenge for you start?
It started when I got COVID-19. So when I got COVID-19 in 2022, as well as the vaccination, and I'm not gonna say the name, but I noticed a change in my vision. I've never had vision impairment ever. And so I would still go to my doctor, my ophthalmologist, like your normal checkup every year. Nothing. And then we got into COVID. I didn't get COVID when it first hit. I got it in 2022. Okay. And so I noticed, like I said, different changes in my vision. And I was like, what is going on? But I was like, well, I know I need to go to the doctor. But at that particular time, no one was seeing anyone in the doctor's office. They wasn't really doing that. So I ended up having to go to the ER. And the ER thought I had a eye stroke. They literally thought, yes. And that is one of the signs as well. Is other things that's in the eye health world that COVID actually developed. And so I suffered from long COVID. But long story short, when it happened, I went to the ER. They did all the tests. And they said, no, we're going to have you go to an ophthalmologist. I said, okay. So they said, we don't see anything. I said, but I do. Yeah. And it looked as if the bottom of a Coke bottle was cracked. And so that was my vision in this eye here. That was the beginning stages of it. And so after that, then I went to a retina specialist. When he saw me immediately, he said, I saw him on a Wednesday. I was in surgery on a Friday. Wow. I didn't even get the bedside manner, the relationship with me and him. No, straight into surgery. I had a detached retina and I had hemorrhaging in my eyes right off the gate. And this is someone that had never had eye issues. Yeah. You have your regular little glasses. You go pick out your little cute Prada glasses. No. That went from that little bit to the extreme.
Did they say you was predisposed to anything? Just curious.
No. Because all of my history showed no traces of anything that could have been remotely touching retinal detachment. Or any hemorrhaging. And so from there on, I've had several surgeries and procedures, and I'm in the process still in that headspace when it comes to that. And I just thank God. But my story to get it out is basically how COVID-19 has attacked the eye health. In the beginning, they talked about respiratory. They talked about all of those types of things that hindered individuals, but when they never really discussed about eye health. And so I start digging and looking for anything, any type of case studies, anything that was going on, and it is, but it's so sporadic.
Right.
It's not like a particular eye disease and this is all that it does. Because again, you know that COVID-19 did a lot of things in different people.
Yeah.
And that's not the only thing it did to me. It also attacked my gastric. And so I had to go in surgery for that as well. So it was both at the same time that was going on. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a journey.
Well, Dr. Collins, I'm so appreciative that you got through those phases of your life and you're here today to speak on behalf of this topic. But what I heard from what you shared is that you advocated for yourself.
Yes.
Even when the doctors weren't listening to you, when they didn't understand your symptoms, you continued to advocate for yourself. And here you are on Speaking with Gravity, still advocating for yourself, but more importantly, you're advocating for a population of people that I didn't even know, was experiencing these type of side effects from COVID or from the COVID vaccine. So thank you for advocating for yourself. I want to ask, how did it feel having no history of low vision impairment to surgery 2 days after you went to the eye doctor?
Now, when it comes to that, that's when mental health is real. And if your foundation is not Christ, I don't know how you're doing it. Because from me waking up to having good eye vision in my eyes, because I didn't really know that I was having issues on that level, to waking up to never return back to normal is different. It hits different than someone maybe who was born like this, who has never experienced regular vision. And so with that being said, it can take a toll on your mental health. For me, it was staying busy, staying connected, being able to be pouring into ministry and staying close to my circle. And my circle are a plethora of ministers, are a plethora of missionaries. One of my dearest friends, she is also my apostle, I love her dearly, has walked through the journey with me. And so when God sends you divine helpers in your life, that is my story. I could not have done this without divine helpers in my life at all.
Beautiful.
I appreciate that you mentioned this, and this topic is just tapping into one of my niches in life. Is, of course, I'm passionate about mental health, but my degree specializes in rehabilitation counseling, which services individuals with disabilities. So this topic is just like speaking to me so much because I work with a population of, right now I work in the college setting, so I work with students that have disabilities or conditions, I like to say. And you highlighted that it's a different experience when you have been born with something, and how you cope with that and how your community copes with it, compared to having a disability or condition that was just suddenly, randomly placed on you out of nowhere. That coping process looks completely different.
It does. And one of the things I can say, let's say for instance, for me, my job, my 9 to 5, not my ministry, but my job, if I did not have the skill set to still be able to kind of maneuver in that headspace, let's say I love to use this, one of my mom's dearest friends, he's vision impaired and he was a brick mason.
Okay.
So how do you rehabilitate yourself if you're not educated to be able to work around that and recreate yourself?
Yeah.
And the blessing is, I did recreate myself when it came to ministry, but not when it was my 9 to 5. I just was blessed that way. Yeah. Of course, I got the equipment so it can zoom in and out for my lenses and all that good stuff for my computer. But as for the knowledge and everything, it was just by God's grace that it fell that way for me. But it is a percentage that people have to recreate themselves.
Literally.
What happens then? What happens to my job? What happens to my livelihood? Because this is my life. And this happened, now what? And it's no one there to help you but God.
Right. And that's an area, that vocational part is an area that some people don't think about until they're placed in this major life situation. You don't think about, well, I'll use an example. You have built your entire life and identity around being this professional woman, specializing in the areas that you specialize, working on your job, having that position, and then all of a sudden all of that can be impacted, or even, worst case scenario, you can lose all of that. Due to a disability. How do you bounce back? How do you rehabilitate? And I'm so glad that you mentioned God as, in that space where God is one of the reasons why you were able to recover and rehabilitate.
Oh, absolutely. It was to the point when it first happened, just going to the grocery store was a challenge, because not only in the process, even though that one incident happened, it happened to my other eye as well. And so I always had to readjust myself. Okay, let me see how my vision is now. What can I do better now? I got comfortable with this now. Now it's changed, because when you have low vision, or if you had an issue that I have, it's not just this just happened and now I can just be in this and this is it. It shifted for me. And so I had to readjust again. And so every time I have a surgery, I have to readjust. And so, okay, can I still drive now? Okay, now I have 2-3 weeks out. What am I going to do? Now I need someone to take me because I can't night drive. Now what I'm going to do? My whole life changed. I'm used to traveling, jumping out of planes, going this and there. And I had to recreate my whole world when it came to that.
I'm scared
and so,
of you. Jumping out of planes.
Yes, traveling is, and so I had to slow all of that down. Just a road trip, like just literally going to Atlanta from A to B is 2 hours away from my house. That was a challenge. When it comes to is the weather, literally, even going to work. So if it's too dark, if it's too light, if it's too dusk, all of that is a factor now for me. I need to work from home today because I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to come in later. It was always some type of adjustment because of my vision.
And not everyone has the flexibility on their in their occupation to maintain their livelihood, maintain their job or their occupation in consideration to having a disability or a condition. So
that's correct.
I'm thankful that you have that flexibility, but realistically, a lot of people do not. So then what happens? Now your whole livelihood is impacted, and as a result of that, your mental health. That can be impacted as well.
It definitely took a toll. And like I said, if I wasn't grounded by Christ to be able to tell me what is next, it is when people say they need to rely on God for their next, that literally is how my life is. Having to plan, it's a lot of planning being vision impaired. And I'm a planner, so it didn't really make me uncomfortable, but it's extra planning. So let's say a trip here was extra planning for me. I cannot do a lot of fumbling and trying to figure out where's my phone. I have to put my phone in the exact same spot because it's a frantic for me to try to figure out, where did I put my phone, Lord? Is it in my purse? I don't feel it. So everything has to be organized, and everything when it comes to even getting ready for work in the morning, everything has to be lined up. I can't do a lot of searching because it's going to take me longer to get things done. And so when it came to my mental health, I realized that God was helping me along the way. But I can tell you it did take a toll on me that I was not the same. I knew that this was a transition in my livelihood. I knew that if I do not stay on the course that he has given me, because when you have an assignment on your life, God don't care about what's going on with you on that level. He cares about that assignment. So in the midst of me going through this, he's like, you're going to help write this anthology. That's what you're going to do. God, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm writing an anthology? I don't have time for this. I'm still trying to figure out what I got going on. Now, you're gonna do this global ministry, and you are going to write these anthologies with these beautiful women of Beauty for Ashes Global Ministry. And you're going to allow God to pour through you, and you're going to write, and this is going to help you. You're going to journal, and this is going to help you, and this is going to heal your brokenness. So for me, I don't know no other way. I don't know any other way but to be able to stay on the course that God has given me. And so when it comes to my mental space with that, when I try to feel woe is me, I look at everything that he has done for me in this small capacity from 2022. It's only 2025.
Right. 3 years.
Exactly. And it's a lot has happened during that time. It's a lot. In the midst of that, God says, for your obedience, because obedience is better than sacrifice, I am going to bless you in this. You're going to become an international best-selling author. You are going to get the Joseph Biden Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award because you're obedient to what I told that you're supposed to do. Now, did I was kicking and screaming? Absolutely. I was like, Lord, now you know I didn't sign up for all this. I'm trying to figure out what am I going to eat and how I'm going to do my daily living. He was like, I got all of that.
Something bigger.
Exactly. Worry about this assignment and this calling that you have on your life. That's what I need you to worry about. Everything else I got in place, even down when it comes to work, you know, even down to knowing what's next at your job, knowing what's next with your ministry. And so I just thank God.
Yes.
I absolutely do.
Taking it one step at a time.
Yes.
And that what you mentioned just now, it reminds me of our cutie of the hour, which is basically a fun fact we like to share with our audience that you all can share with other people. So please remember to like, comment. If you want other questions answered, please go ahead and list those. But the cutie of the hour says, according to the CDC, adults with disabilities report experiencing frequent mental health distress almost 5 times as often as adults without disabilities. And our reference is the CDC. So Dr. Collins, exactly what you're mentioning today is that having a new condition or having a new disability, it has impacted every aspect of your life, even down to getting dressed in the morning, even down to driving, taking yourself from one location to the other. So I can only imagine how having a disability impacts one's mental health, because mental health directly impacts all of those other facets of life.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things, without getting too graphic, is that every day was different for me. Just think about waking up and trying to figure out, okay, Lord, is my vision going to be the same as it was yesterday? Let that just sink in, because it was some days it wasn't for me. And so I would still have to do a lot of pivoting, and it can be emotional, where you're like, well, Lord, I thought I was good. Like right now, and I'm going to be transparent with you, I'm in the process of doing procedures. I get eye injections every 3 weeks to stop hemorrhaging in my eyes. So the journey is still going on. And I love how, you know, as Christians, we love to say, I don't look like what I've been through. And that is the truth. And I know that. So it is shocking, but it is real. And so every day I thank God for the sight that I do have. And I thank God for the platforms of the people who are not educated to know this exists. This has spun out of control when it comes to eye health. And I remember not going to the doctor for eye exams like that. Just think about it. You might go to the eye doctor once a year, maybe. But this is so serious in how it has affected a community that may not even know. And I'm a get on this right here. In our community, we don't do case studies. We don't want to sign up for case studies. And so it's hard for us to kind of get the numbers together to see who is affected.
And when you say our community, who are you referring to? African
Americans. It's very taboo. I don't know nobody that I know personally that said, you know what, I'm going to sign up for that study.
For people to know my business.
Have y'all done that?
I see call for studies all the time.
That's right.
But I keep saying the same thing, like they're not getting enough participants. So yes.
That's correct. And so because of that, our data is low. How can we be able to be helped if we don't know you need help?
I don't know why that is, though, that we aren't willing to.
It's a lot of stuff.
So
it's
many
some stuff we've been guinea pigs over the years. I'm just gonna be honest.
So many different reasons. I mean, and this, I feel like as a community, we don't like people in our business.
That's too.
You know, these people gonna know my business.
Look, what's said in this house, stay in this house. Y'all understand that. And so when it comes to that, it's hard to kind of pinpoint who had issues with eye health when it comes to that space of community. We also come from, we deal with it differently. Yes. Like I know a lot of individuals that are vision impaired, but they don't claim it, and you don't really know. They don't really talk about it unless they're full blown blind.
Right.
And you definitely know because you see the visual in how they operate. But you still have a community like myself who don't qualify for disability, but you're still able to go through ADA. You're still able to have, be able to benefit from what they offer because you have limitations.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that. They don't know that they can go through ADA to get help because they have limitations.
What's ADA again?
ADA is basically the Disability Act. It's basically for you to get the assistance. And so when I was able to, at my job, I was able to go through them to be able to help me with my surroundings, my environment in my job, to have my computer and have the lights and all of that good stuff for me to be able to see on my computer, and be able to get a app placed on there to be able to zoom in and out, with being able to process different things at my job. So I thank God for that. But if I didn't know, I would have said I'm just going to deal with it, due to the fact that I'm not technically labeled as disabled because of the percentile of my vision. Low vision and blindness are different spectrums. The vision, when it comes to how you see, it is different for another individual. It's just like when you wear glasses. Like I wear readers. I'm able to see with readers to read, but I'm not able to wear glasses to see to drive because it's not going to correct anything. And so that's when low vision, that is where surgeries and glasses cannot correct what is going on, but you're not blind. That's a little gray area. I call it a gray area. And so with me, it's even grayer because I'm not technically, because of my numbers of vision, I'm not considered disabled.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
And you mentioned a very important point, and Josh, you mentioned, what is the ADA? The ADA is the Americans Disability Act of 1990, and I had to look up which president it was that passed the bill, but it was President George H.W. Bush. And the importance of this law is that individuals with disabilities were formerly discriminated so much that they weren't able to thrive and have successful lives because people weren't hiring them. If they were hired, people weren't, employees were not giving them accommodations they needed to be successful on that job. And so what did it do? It created a whole population of individuals with disabilities that could not support themselves. They did not have independence. They did not have a good quality of life, simply because of that gap between their disability and their occupation. So with this, and it goes even into the schools, but with this and act being passed, now we have individuals that have disabilities or conditions. They're able to get approved for accommodations in their workforce.
Yes.
Students are able to get approved for accommodations in classes, and that's the population that I work with.
A blessing.
Yeah. So for example, a student that has anxiety, they may need, well, I'll use another example. A student that has depression and they have low motivation and just cannot get out of bed that day, they might have an accommodation for leniency with attendance where, okay, it's excused that, you're unable to get out of bed today because you have provided documentation that you have a disability. And then, you use the example, Dr. Collins, about how they have provided accommodations when it comes to your computer and operating something you use every day. To say, okay,
the same computer.
Yeah. And
I've been there 15 years.
And that looked differently before this law was passed. Before they might just say, okay, we'll do the work on paper. But now this is a tool that you're used to using every day. And this act provides accommodations so that you're still able to use the tools, the technology, the resources that you have used before, however, just in different ways. And we can, there's a whole aspect of assistive technology, which is actual tools and devices that people can use to improve their quality of life considering having a disability.
You know, I don't want to spend too much time on the question I'm gonna ask, but is any of this, like the ADA and all that, is that being affected by the DEI transition, the DEI changes?
Not at my job.
Okay.
When it comes to the support, when it comes, like I told you, I work for local and state government in Georgia. I don't see anything a pushback. I'm gonna say is that I feel like what was in stone that I placed is still there. The accommodations that is needed. As for going forward, I don't see why it would not be in place, intact. But that is a great question. But in my world right now, I don't see that. Me having it one-on-one, me experiencing that. Now the world, that's a different story.
Right. and I just want to touch on that a little bit. There is a lot of talk, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of scare around the current political changes and how it can impact individuals with disabilities. So that space exists. That fear, I should say, exists with these political changes in place. But I feel like, obviously the Trump presidency just started this year. So we may not see those implementations until, years later of these current changes that's going on. But I'm appreciative and I'm happy that it's not impacting you.
Not at all.
Hopefully it doesn't.
That's right.
Obviously accommodations are in place for a reason.
That's right.
And not just accommodations, but community resources.
Yes.
Financial resources, vocational rehabilitation, which is the community resource that bridges people that are experiencing a disability with vocational or occupational support. Those community resources exist for a reason, and if funding is cut, then guess who that impacts? A whole population of people.
It does. Absolutely. It does.
I think, Dr. Collins, your story is one of thriving, not just surviving and something, but thriving, resilience, right? And thriving, and it makes me, just makes me think, we should definitely be grateful for the abilities that God gives us. Absolutely. And using stories like yours to help us to see the value in relying on God, because I see how much that's played a part, an important part of your life. And just kind of thinking about vision impairment, being one, I guess you would say, one case of like sensory decline. I know there's also like hearing impairment and other things like that, and how important that it is to just increase awareness of that connection between that sensory loss and mental health. For yourself, are you doing anything right now? You might have already mentioned it, but are you doing anything right now to create this awareness?
Yes. For me, I realize in America, it is 4 million adults that have low vision.
Okay.
And so with that being said, one of the things that God really has been speaking into my life about is where I'm going to position myself now. Even though I'm in ministry, this is part of that. I'm called to not just the 4 walls, but also to out into the marketplace. And so one of these things I've always said, I've always been called to women leadership and children, but God will transition you and he will pivot you to something else. And so I used to be a foster care provider. I was a foster mom. And so this is right in the midst of me getting becoming vision impaired and a little bit before that. And I was an advocate. And so once I realized that I was called to this community, I started getting a village. And I talk about it a lot on Facebook about my village and my journey and how I show up. So most of the time when I do is through ministry and I tell my story. It's about the testimony. We in church, we said testifying.
That's what we say.
And so that is where it started. But God is birthing something out because it is a transition. It's a pivot for me. And so one of the things that I know I will be starting is a nonprofit. Also connecting with case studies that will talk more about and going into the community, especially the Black and brown communities that really don't really know if they're vision impaired or not. You know, I'm just being honest. When it comes to the elderly, sometimes they work through things.
Right.
They're like, oh, I go get some readers, not really knowing that is something really going on, as well as being able to touch lives globally. Because like I said before, I'm a part of a global ministry. And so being able to talk about how screening is very important from a child all the way up. That's another reason why the things that has happened to me, this would have been seen 5 years prior to when I actually got diagnosed. So they were like, it's no other way. This has got to have been COVID because it makes no sense. You have been able to see what was going on with your eyes 5 years ago. So one of the things I definitely want to do is touch bases in Africa and be able to provide just regular glasses, regular screenings, things of that nature. So I'm in the process. Like I said, with my village, I have certain amount of divine helpers that have come to me and want to help, and they want to help me during this pivot in my life, because this is not the journey that I signed up for. This wasn't it. I thought, okay, Lord, you call me to babies. You know, I love children. I love the nursery. I love foster kids. And he was like, you're going to help this community because this is your story. Because I was in the mindset of I'm pushing through. Okay, this is going on. It's going to get better. I'm still on this board. I'm doing that. He was like, you're done with that leaf on your tree. I'm gonna get you over here.
Girl,
and this is a whole nother lane for you. I'm like,
better let him use you.
Yeah, and the difference is here. He doesn't call you for comfort. So for me, I was comfortable. I'm comfortable doing this. This is all I know. I know kids. I know women. And he was like, but you're doing this because you're already going through this. You're going to help somebody. Your story is going to break chains. So it's just that as a pivot alone, as well as doing my daily life, as well as doing my ministry that God blessed me with, as well as my job. It's a lot. And with people looking in, they're like, how you doing all that?
God.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah. And I want to say, you know, as people age, a lot of times they also start to experience, you know, the sensory decline, like the ones that we talked about, the hearing loss, as well as, you know, the vision impairment.
Yes.
And there are mental health, you know, aspects of that, right? And, and so the conversations that you're having already, I think is great for the aging population to hear those conversations, be a part of those conversations as well, because that's something I know that they go through.
Absolutely.
Well, so,
just think about with them going through that during COVID-19 when everyone was isolated. The isolation was real. So in the midst of your elderly, you might had long COVID. You might had COVID alone by itself. You don't really have a caregiver. It was a lot of things going on. Yeah. And when I think back on it, how we moved and how we operated, that alone, being able to be a survivor of COVID was a lot. Yes. On top of someone having a disability or just being diagnosed is a different ball game. It hit so different for me. Because I'm like, okay, Lord, we already isolated. Now this is going on too. This is too much. And so with that being in your elderly, all you have, like I said, I don't know how you're doing it. All you have is God. Right. You have no life, because life is going to continue to be lifing. So if you don't have him as the center, I don't know what you're doing.
Come on now.
So for me, that's how I got through it all, whether it was trying to develop into depression. He was not going to allow that, because he has control over my life, and you have to allow yourself to give God and trust him enough to steer your life. And so I know he is the foundation, and that's the only way I was able to overcome and have a good mental health.
That's what I like about testimonies too, hearing testimonies, because it's kind of like you highlight what's going on in your life and how the Lord can use it to bring you closer to him.
Absolutely.
So I definitely recognize that in everything you've been saying.
And know how your life is so delicate and it can be snatched in the blink of an eye. Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
That part, and transitioned. And he still, if you're faithful enough, he will definitely guide you through it effortlessly.
Yes.
You might have some bumps and bruises and trials and tribulations, but you still come out on top because he gets he gets the glory, and it's all for your good.
Come on.
So I thank God for that. I do.
Don't look like
Nobody
anything.
but him in this journey.
Don't look like anything you've been through, and that just speaks to the power of God.
Absolutely.
Listen, y'all, we're getting close to wrapping this thing up, but we want to give you, Dr. Collins. Well, first of all, anybody else have anything?
I'm fine. Like I
Okay.
said, I ain't have to do nothing today. Today I was just over here chilling because Hannah and you and Dr. Collins, y'all took over. So me and Josh, yes, they did. And so me and Josh was over here just like,
Are y'all learning at least?
I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Listen,
Awesome.
I had an
Awesome.
amazing
Dr. Collins,
time. I did.
Where can we find, where can we find either your work or where can we follow you? How do we keep up with your journey?
Oh, absolutely. My website is www.drebonymichelle.com. You can find me there, and definitely on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, listen, it's been another great episode, y'all. Thank you all for tuning in to another great episode of Speaking with Gravity. We thank our guests. We'll give her a hand.
Thank you.
Dr. Ebony Collins for being with us, for sharing her story.
Absolutely.
Right, and shedding light on this community that a lot of people might not, probably don't even know about. I didn't even know that COVID had those type of effects. So we appreciate you for bringing that knowledge to us today. And again, we thank you all for joining us for this important discussion on how disability affects mental health, in particular sensory decline and visual impairment, and of course our aging population. As we learned today, recognizing these sensory impairments as disabilities and understanding their implications is crucial for fostering compassionate and effective care. If you found today's episode valuable, please share it with your friends and family. Please like and comment. Please follow us at Speaking with Gravity on Instagram. You know us on Facebook. Check out the website.
TikTok.
All that good stuff. Come, yeah. TikTok. And give us your feedback. Give us your questions, your feedback. Terrence is waiting to know what you want to know. So we want to be able to help out. So thanks for being on this journey with us. Kudos to you for being on your mental health journey, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Until next time, y'all.
peace.